Hello everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is Chris from Cinema Trailer News, and this will be my breakdown for episode 5 of Obi Wan Kenobi. Now, my thoughts on this episode: I thought it was a solid episode with brilliant moments throughout, but overall I think I haven't mixed feelings about the show overall. I think they are treating the show more like a movie instead of an actual TV show. And I think they're having some problems with that in terms of the story they are telling here. So I hope we get a good season finale. So let's get into the breakdown. Now we start off on Coruscant. We flashback to the time of the Clone Wars, in the same place that we saw the younglings training in episode 1. We watch Anakin and Obi-Wan do it out. This is back when they both mates around the time of Attack of the Clones, which we can tell due to the hairstyle that the pair have. Anakin, still an apprentice, have the ponytail, and is one of Vader's fondest memory. Throughout this episode we get several flashes of it, and he appears at several times, showing Vader's impatience, anger, and it showcases the difference between the two. This battle of course holds more meaning now they are enemies, and is filled with lots of foreshadowing to the fights they have later have. The combat style is more in line with the prequels. Vader, we get two versions of him in flashback throughout the episode. This is when he is still a Jedi, and later on when he becomes a Sith. He almost beats Obi-Wan, but this episode shows there are other ways to fight, and Anakin has to learn this as he gets further into it. He knocks Obi-Wan's weapon out of his hands, and we also get this line: "Your weapon is gone, it's over." Obi-Wan responds, "Your need for victory, it blinds you." Later on, Obi-Wan hands over his weapon, and he theorizes that Vader will be unable to see the plan with Obi-Wan and Reva. While he's blinded by his need to win, we cut to the bridge of a Star Destroyer to see him gasoline out into the galaxy. This is a motif that popped up several times in the saga. This is the Destroyer class, and is one of the most iconic ships in the Star Wars universe. Enter Reva, who informs him that he's just arriving on to Jabin. This was the planet that we saw last time after Order 66. This planet became the final sanctuary for the past, and where is force sensitive people who made it, they received new identities. It was also the planet that fell under the control of the First Order. Reva is told to kneel, and she's given the position of Grand Inquisitor, making her Vader's right hand. And we later learn that this is all part of the plan, and that she's actually hunting Vader for what he did in the Jedi Temple. Obi-Wan arrives to find the Haja is now there, and we discover after the end of episode 2 that he became wanted by the Empire. Roken talks about how the people they have or have been waiting for transport to leave, and typically those here will send on secret trace routes throughout the galaxy. These were unmonitored by the Empire, and they are allowed characters like Han Solo to carry out smuggling jobs. Laura goes into one of the service tunnels. The droids ends up sealing them inside in order to attempt to get them to surrender. On the wall Obi-Wan sees the names of Jedi along with the crest in the middle. This is of course similar to the Underground Railroad in Episode 3, and alongside it are some lightsabers. There's also a rope alongside it, and it brings back memories of the Order to Obi-Wan. Vader sends two landing ships, and these look like the precursors to the ones from Star Wars, from the start of The Force Awakens. There are several aliens in the hangar, including Trandoshians. These are the same species as Boss. Outside, the Stormtroopers arrive along with Reva. We are repeating blaster. We can also catch Purge Troopers. These were actually the personal forces of the Inquisitor, and they were adapted soldiers promoted for their ability to track and kill Jedi. They managed to keep it pretty tense, even though it mostly them just standing outside the door, constantly shooting for edges. Unable to get into the hangar, they end up sending Leia into the vents, and Obi-Wan ends up pulling his holo projector out of his pocket, and he opens up to a message from Bail Organa. He says he's going to Tatooine to protect the boy. Tala goes to meet him, and you may recognize this room as being where he recovered in the battle tent last week. She brings up the planet Gary, a Lemon Gary, a rocky desert planet located in the outer rim. As she says, this was controlled by the Empire. The Inquisitors ruthlessly wiped out several families in front of her, and her squadron, which was caused to descend. We see that she's knocked out tally marks on her blaster holster. Now Rockens got them out, and we see an asteroid mesh droid at this point. Now this could be R2-D2, however we know that from the first episode that he was on alongside C-3PO on Alderaan, so I don't know if he will end up here. Obi-Wan wants to communicate with Reva, and he brings up the point that she knew Vader was Anakin, which, as we theorize, means that she met him during Order 66. See, I told you. Now Anakin arrived hook up like he did in Revenge of the Sith, and mercilessly cut down the younglings in front of her. At the start of episode 1, there were 5 younglings, so there being 3 here shows the other 2 were wiped out in the skirmish. Now, though we only get a split second shot of one of the younglings getting cut down, I believe that this is the same one that we saw in the tomb last week. Reva says she thought Anakin was there to help, but all he wanted to do was kill the youngling. This is likely where she gained her distrust for the Jedi, and she plays dead. We discover Vader stabbed her in the stomach, and she lay with the bodies in order to avoid detection. We also learn Reva choose motives here, and she doesn't believe Obi-Wan will actually kill him. She blames him for not helping the youngling. She slices open the blast door in a move similar to Qui-Gon cutting throughout in Phantom Menace, and it leads to a big shooter. We see that Rocken carries out a bowcaster, and this was also the preferred weapon of Chewbacca. Obi-Wan breaks out of the blast. Tala is shot in his neck, and they cut to the sound and play an emotional music over the top, similar to the end of Rogue One to K2SO. and she goes the extra mile by setting off a atomic detonator. Vader orders Reva to stand down as he believes that Obi-Wan will do anything to protect the people, and that this includes surrendering. Obi-Wan hands over his gear, and we see it's all part of his plan to try and get Reva to work with him in taking down Vader. He plans to use her the same way she to bring in horse the same way that Kylo Ren and Rey work together to take down Snoke. Leia finds a restraining bolt on Laura in the vents, and she removes this. Leia opens out the hanging doors, and Vader marches in and attempts to pull it down the transport using the Force. This is something that we see multiple points in the franchise, and not only that Rey do it in The Rise of Skywalker, but also Starkiller in The Force Unleashed bring down an entire Star Destroyer in the real transport, managed to make it out. Vader was similarly blinded by his victory of taking down the temples. He missed the other. However, he does thinks that this was perhaps part of his plans in order to roof Reva out of her true intentions. In the wide shot of the hangar, we can also catch the T-47 air speedster that they used to launch the rescue mission in the last episode. Hajar also leaves the holoprojector, and we get flashback in which Obi-Wan beats Anakin. The lesson here is important. Anakin was constantly trying to prove himself, but it was his undoing. Reva goes to attack, however he catches her and using the Force easily beats her without even busting out his blade. We see the quadruple style to the Inquisitor lightsaber, and this includes the single blade, double, spinning one, and then the dual. Vader ends up going toe to toe with her using the other one, and much in the same way that Obi-Wan beat her in stealing his blade, that Vader does the same thing. This is probably the standout scene in the series for me, and we get flashes of her childhood as he was towards her. The stabbing in her gun is the same way as it happens, and she ends up surviving, and we see the return of the Grand Inquisitor, who likely told Vader the truth. Now he's a character that we talk about every week, and we did bring up several times how he thought he was still alive. Vader also calls her youngly, further calling back to her last to better her. Reva finds out the holoprojector, and the message from Bell lets her know about Tatooine. Now she likely feels abandoned by Obi-Wan once more, and see this as her being left to be stabbed so that he can get away once. I do think that it's all going down in Tatooine, but I think when she discovered that he's protecting a child, that she will see she had the wrong impression of him, and that she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Judging by Obi-Wan's expression at the end, seems like his son didn't go, his plan didn't work out, and he knew he was abandoning Reva to go toe to toe with Vader. Mason seemed like he didn't really care about her, and this is why the ending is so worrisome, as she likely wants revenge. Now that's my breakdown for episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, consider subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.